Wonderful, wonderful. I'm sorry I couldn't hear.
Go full screen.
Okay, let's go full screen. Let's do this. All right. Is it full screen for y'all?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
For the listener, this might sound unrehearsed, and it is, but the way StreamYard makes me do it is I have to look at the slide. I can't see what StreamYard sees, so we're kind of flying a little blind. Anyway, for the listener, the title of this slideshow is called "Go to Hell, You Damn Bastards! He Ain't the Real 3," a VLV production. Initially, I was going to say, "Welcome to Well, There's Your Problem VLV edition," but I didn't want to get sued by those guys, so we're not doing that.
So here you go.
Well, anyway, next slide. All right, so what happened? Again, there's a lot of visual elements, so if you're listening to this, please go to our Twitter. We'll have the video somewhere. So what happened? The number 3 team had a couple extra cans of yellow paint. That's the only way I can describe this. They took some stencils, they painted the red letters yellow, and no one was none the wiser. Reason number 2, Ryan Priest. Now, I will say, when I made this, I was just hating on Ryan Priest, and I forgot that he actually got wrecked and didn't wreck anybody. But if you'll see here, he is pictured in his next year's driver uniform, which is the high visibility vest and the state DOT slow down sign. And then what also happened is God apparently jumped 2 really good race cars. Austin, thank God. And, whatever. So he works in mysterious ways. So we're going to talk about that. Next slide. But first, a quick detour. But to where? Oh, damn it. All right, here we go. Indiana, of course. There's a bit I have about road construction because I don't like the state of Indiana. Anyway, so where are we going? We're going to Indiana. But why? It's home of Indianapolis Motor Speedway. NASCAR races there. There's some other series I've never heard of, whatever. More importantly, it's the home of Home Field, our good friends and partner. Real quick, just want to talk about they got a new lineup, the kickoff boxes for college football. Again, a lot of visual elements. You're going to want to go and watch this. I have it up on screen here. It's the Arkansas kickoff box because I made the slideshow. I get to choose the school. But it comes with T-shirt, long sleeve, hoodies, socks, koozie. For a great price, $175. You're not going to get that in the nightcap. You're not going to get that on Fanatics. You can even split it into 4 interest-free installments for $15 or from $15.80 a month with Shop Pay. You got to check with Shop Pay on that. Premium quality, designed in USA, free exchanges, officially licensed. But they don't just have collegiate vintage football apparel, right? They've also got, the motorsports collections, what we've been talking about all year. They've got the Hendrick Motorsports collection still, some hot stuff there. The Indy 500 collection, even though I was just hating on them, great stuff there. I have another shirt, the Carb Day, the red shirt. I just got that one. They also have the Aaron McLaren line as well. Now, I don't know that I would advise you to jump on that yet because they still haven't settled this year's driver lineup, but they have it. It's at homefieldapparel.com, and you can use our code VLV24 at any point in time to take 15% off your first purchase. If the code doesn't work, email Arthur. He'll get you situated somehow, some way. I've got to go back a couple slides and stop the song, unfortunately, because Google Slides doesn't work that great. So anyway, but that's a plug for our good friends over at Home Field. All right, so what actually happened? So this is the night the lights went out in Richmond, and we're just going to review real quick the finish here. And then I want everybody to take their own personal notes, if you will. If you're watching this, if you're listening to it, pretend, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, here we go.
Back up through the gears they go, and it doesn't look like a great restart for Dillon. Logano on the outside. They fan out. They're 4 wide entering turn 1. Logano with a great restart. Logano clears him down the backstretch. Can Dillon fight back? He's had a great car all weekend long. One more time around for Logano. The white flag's in the air.
If Dillon gets to him, there will be contact.
I hate that.
He can't do it in 1 and 2. Logano looks back. He has a car link now. Joey Logano through 3 and 4 for the final time. There's the contact. He does get to him. The 11 on the inside. He gets into the wall. Dillon's going to win it at the line.
So I just want to say right there, I really hate it's funny, but I also hate how like Jeff Burton was like the only way Austin Dillon is going to pass Joey Logano is by wrecking him.
And he was absolutely right.
Yeah, he was absolutely right. That was such a slight. And I'll be honest, I literally did not see this coming. I thought, hey, it's just going to have to settle it like it is. He might be mad or crying after the fact, but hey, go blame Ricky Stenhouse Jr., who should also be in that road construction crew for NCDOT. Anyway, next slide. So a lap around Richmond. This is important for later. So I kind of drew on this the best I can. I've got bad tracing skills with my mouse, and again, this is all visual. You'll notice on the entry to 1 and 2, right? And this is just common knowledge plus watching some onboards plus sim racing is all kind of put this together. What you'll do is you'll come in, right about a car width off the bottom. You'll roll to the bottom in the center, and by the time you're to the middle or the entry, the entry of 2, you want to like wrap the corner, be right on the bottom. Now, when you come off of 3, you're not going to hug the bottom all the way off. You're actually going to go about a half lane up and shoot toward the wall and ride the middle. It's kind of like Martinsville in that way. You want to take the longest path on exit for speed. Same thing going into 3, exiting 3, you want to wrap the bottom. But 4, again, same story as 2. Wrap the bottom at the entry, but as you come off the corner, you are arcing out wider. You're not hugging that bottom. You're arcing out wider. Like I said, and I have a video here to prove exactly what I'm saying. So watch this real quick, and you'll see what I'm talking about. And this is important. That's loud. This is ironically Joey Logano's on board. Okay. That's about the end of that. Oh, no, play it again. Okay. Wait a minute. Okay. So you guys see what I'm saying about how corner exit is different than entry, or whatever the case would be. Okay. This is important for this next slide I have. Hamlin turned himself. This is the jackass theory of the weekend, apparently. So this first slide is just keep this in mind. Bozy on Twitter went through and he highlighted a lot of points of SMT data, which is he did a really good job of in explaining it. Now, the reality of it is this: the SMT data is for NASCAR to decipher and determine exactly what happened as best they can. All right, Austin Dillon is not going to come out and say that he hooked Denny Hamlin. The point of contention is not whether or not he wrecked Joey Logano, but whether or not he intentionally right-reared Denny Hamlin. So the thing to notice here, and I have another slide about it with the onboard, and I have the telemetry over it. But for anybody looking at this, so the orange is the white flag, is the next to last lap. The blue is the white flag lap, and you'll see right where everything pops off. This is his steering, and so if it's going down, he's turning right. Which this would probably be where he dumped Joey, I would think. Like I said, he dumped Joey, and then he wants to try to go around him, so he's turning the car right to try to get it pointed away from Joey, I would imagine. And, again, and then like I said, you see it spike back up real quick. Now, you look at the lap previous, he made a sudden left turn right here. And so this is where I think that the 11 was wrapping around the 4. He was taking a normal line coming off of 4, and the 3 saw this. And I don't know, not to defend Austin Dillon, but I think that there is a slight possibility he was trying to cross over and maybe wrecked him. But I subscribe to the reality of you only get one shot. Your one shot was Joey Logano. Whatever happens after that, there's nothing you can do about that. So anyway, that's that slide. So this is the jackass theory continued, and I want to just point. People say, well, Hamlin wrecked himself, and Austin didn't turn. If Austin wasn't turning back to the left, his car would not be pointed down toward the bottom of the track after the 11 apparently hooked himself. This, I think, is the most damning shot, because if he just drove straight through him or he was trying to get off of him and the 11 turned himself, the 3 would be pointed straight. This is just me talking out loud, but this is what I really think. And I think it's a bad look, and I think this solidifies that the 3, whether he had full malicious intent or not, knew the 11 was there and he was going to turn right as quick as he could, whether to give the 11 a shot on the left rear or just turn them all the way. I don't know. But anyway, not pictured here is the car that should have won in my hopes and dreams, which is just off to the side as a 23, but we'll talk about that later. Anyway, this is a quick little video that has the S&T data of the last lap on it as well. You guys can watch that and make your own determinations as far as what you think happened.
Three-quarters small run, no run, car 1.5. Keep coming down, run him down, back in, come on, back here!
Yeah, so that's the end of that clip. What I think is so damning is there is a bit of hesitation right between where he dumps the 22 and he turns the 11. And I really think that at that point he realized the 11 was coming off the corner and was probably going to pass him for the win, and he needed to do something. I'll play that little bit of audio again, and you can kind of hear what I'm talking about. Unfortunately, I didn't realize when I put this together, but Google Slides kills video quality, so the compression is awful. But anyway. That wasn't a great replay. But anyway, you get what I'm saying. So anyway, thoughts so far before we continue?
Mm-hmm. I think that the craziest thing, since we're in the middle of doing this presentation, from my vantage point, it was even wilder because I'm looking down the front stretch and like seeing all the noses of the car just like go every which way. So it's just it's very interesting seeing these points of views, because that was not my point of view yesterday.
Well, what was your point of view yesterday? I mean, you said what it was, but let me ask you this, because you were there, right? And so what did you think happened when you saw it?
So we could see them come off of 4, and we saw him vividly, obviously, intentionally wreck Joey Logano. The old fashioned, the way he pirouetted, it was like, yeah, he hit him. But in this picture, how it's seen here, like with Austin's car, like with the way it's skewed, like I knew he hit Denny, but it didn't look that egregious, like in real time. It's like he just like bumped him and like avoided him and won. But like everything I've seen all last night, all this morning, even right now, it just shows how intentional Austin was with clearing the way and being a bulldozer for him to win.
Yeah,
he was a wrecking ball.
Yeah, wow. I mean, we'll get into, because a lot of people have talked about the implications of the playoff system and how that fed into this decision.
Yes,
I think we should probably go first. Yeah, and we can get into this now, or we can get into it when we finish. It doesn't matter. I'm sure that played a part, but actually, that'll go in good with the discussion of a penalty. So we got a few more slides left, and then we're done. So we talked about the second part of the wreck, which is where he hooked the 11. Now, that is at glance the most egregious thing about this wreck. I, however, have just as big of a problem with how he wrecked the 22. And I'll talk about this here in just a second. Stop it! I already played you. So he just tried to rattle his cage from a mile away. So again, my issue with this is not as big as him hooking the 11, and I will get into that at the end. I'm sure we all will. But I have a picture here. So this is the yellow line on the bottom is the previous lap. The blue is the next lap. You see that the previous lap. First of all, I want everybody to keep in mind before I say any of this. When they restarted, Joey just got a better restart. He did not rough up the 3 at all. He didn't door him. He didn't do anything, right? He just took off. That was it. The lap prior, coming out of 3, Joey Logano had a car length lead on Austin Dillon. Okay, he just drove away. Which, no harm, no foul. You get beat, you get beat. I've got beat like that a million times. Hey. The problem I really have with this is, if you want to give a guy, a shot at the end of the corner and push him up out of the way, you can do that. That's acceptable. Joey Logano did that years ago to Martin Truex Jr. That clip has been circulating today. If you can get to the guy normally and give him a shot, fine. Okay, cool, whatever. What Austin did was he missed the corner knowing that he would either land on the 22's bumper or on the outside wall. And you can see that with the throttle trace right here, because you can see where on the orange line or the blue line, I'm sorry, where it looks like he held it a bit longer or he picked it up quicker. I'm not sure to which end, but he definitely drove into that corner a lot harder, knowing that he had to make up, more ground than he could to drive in there and get the 22. So he had no intention of just seeing how it played out. He knew fully he was going to go into that corner and take him out. He had already committed to it. And again, a lot at play there. I understand about the playoffs and everything, but to me, just very poor sportsmanship. Even in NASCAR, even in this day and age of WWE Attitude Era NASCAR, right? In the age of the Stone Cold, like hitting Booker T with the milk cartons era of NASCAR that we're in right now, that's a deep cut. Some people won't get it. That still to me is very bad sportsmanship, and I have a huge issue with that. But speaking of huge issues, and Joey Logano. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Let me go back. So, a little funny thing, I put it in this next slide, a little funny, is that, you heard whoever Andy Delafane, I don't know, whoever Austin Dillon's spotter is to tell him to wreck whoever it was around him, right? And then Austin Dillon was like, that never happened. But we here at Victory Lane Vibes, primarily me, have secured audio of Richard Childress in the NASCAR hauler after this all panned out. So we're going to play that next. Play? Okay, there we go.
There's nothing wrong with saying that.
Wait a minute. This might not be right.
Calculated.
Well, Mr. President, the challenge that you have is the data you have is wrong.
So, look, all I want to do is this. I just want
Oh, this sounds like Richard Childress. I don't know.
11,780 votes. So tell me,
Well,
Brad, what are we going to do? We won the election, and it's
this is
fair to
definitely
take it
Richard
away from
Childress.
us like
Yeah,
this.
absolutely.
And it's going to be very costly in many ways. And I think you have to say that you're going to re-examine it.
Well, I don't know, Richard. I don't think they are. I don't know. I feel like that was funnier when I put it together. It's not funny. It's fine. It's whatever. It's again another deep cut. What's this next slide? I forgot what I even did for the next one. Shut up. I did this already. Oh yeah. What about Joey? So in the last 6 hours, people talked about this last night, but it was kind of glazed over. Joey Logano expressed his displeasure on pit road, and people in the last 6 to 8 hours have said, well, hey, what Joey did was far more egregious, very dangerous, and he should be the one suspended, not Austin Dillon. And I got the clip right here for you if you guys haven't seen it or the people who are watching this haven't seen it. Yeah. So, wait a minute. Oh, okay, here we go. So, yeah, I mean, so I think we can discuss this too. I think that this is obviously very Let me say this. Unfortunately, there are two incidents that happened last night that have some parallels to one of the podcast's favorite driver. And after they made such a big fuss at Chicago about the Bowman thing, there's no way that Joey should make it to Michigan next weekend and not have any kind of fine or penalty or anything like that. And I don't think a $50,000 fine is enough, honestly. And I don't mean to sound, whatever, hyperbolic, whatever, but that situation could have went very wrong very easily. And I understand that there was some point, and Jared, maybe you saw this, I don't know, but I understand that there is, I guess, a point of contention about they shouldn't be on a hot pit road. They shouldn't be crossing pit road X, Y, and Z because we're victory lanes, that also other kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, as a driver, I mean, you got to be cooler than that, man, because who's to say that, somebody didn't have like AirPods or something in and would walk 2 feet further out in front of Joey when he did that. You know what I mean? That's incredibly dangerous. I don't know that a suspension should be in store exactly, but definitely, I mean, a huge monetary fine, maybe a loss of some playoff points from that night or something like that. I don't know, man, but that is very bad. And I also want to say this real quick. So Couch Racer tweeted this video out, and Couch Racer's been going crazy. And I imagine it's because anytime there's some shenanigans that happen at Richmond, Brett Griffin is immediately trying to cover his ass some 11 years later because he still feels embarrassed about what he was a part of. So anyway, I just want to get that little shout out. But yeah, what y'all think about this?
So I guess I come with an opinion that is different than what Twitter's is. You should have the wherewithal if you have credentials to be down there, whether you're media, VIP, or otherwise. If you have the credentials to be on pit road after the race, you need to have situational awareness. And I can say that with such confidence because I too almost got smacked up by Ty Gibbs going to get my rolling shot of Denny Hamlin's burnout in the spring race. So I know firsthand, I almost ended up on the Summer Jam screen getting smacked up by moving race car. So since then, learned my lesson, situational awareness. And you just have to be careful. The security, once the race is over, they look at what you have around your neck. If you pass the test, you go. So there's no, hey, watch out. Hey, you shouldn't do that. Hey, wait a second. The cars are still coming in. Like there's no direction. It's just the race is over. Oh yeah, you belong here. Go nuts. And so you saw in this video what happens when go nuts happens. Literally a family of 12 almost ended up being co-owners of Roger Penske Racing, Joey Logano's foundation, and Pennzoil.
Yeah.
Because of a bad break. So I agree that he may have been out of line, but I can't necessarily say he can take 100% of the blame as to what occurred, because you should have situational awareness at a race, walking onto a hot racetrack with race cars in motion. Like you wouldn't just walk in the middle of 95 just because there's a construction crew and they're going 40 miles an hour. Like, no, that's dumb. Like you don't do that. So like I said, I'm not going to put 100% of the blame on Joey here. With that in mind, he probably is going to get fined. It's NASCAR. They're fine, happy. They want money for the foundation. They'll make Joey write a check, but I don't think it's as egregious as a missing time or getting poor points taken away from anything like that. I feel like there's two wrongs in this video. So I feel like you can't find the people that walked in front of the car, but you can slap Joey in the wrist like, hey, don't do that. So
yeah.
I can't believe it still for Joey Logano. What the hell is wrong with me?
Yeah.
I got something to say.
Yeah, go ahead.
I got something to say about this.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't think it's okay for Joey to speed up. I can understand that. I can understand his frustration. Cool. Why the fuck are you literally on active pit road? If you literally see cars coming in and stopping on the fucking pit road, I don't get it.
Yeah.
What the hell? Like I don't. What are we doing here? You clearly see cars stopping and driving through, and you want to walk through damn pit road with your kid.
Right, you got to hold Tyler in your arms. Like, what are you doing? What's wrong with
Yeah,
you?
yeah.
Well, we
No,
made it
that,
about an hour without. We're keeping it clean. That's pretty
hey,
good.
well,
That's
you
better
know,
than I
hey,
expected to be. Yeah, I'm
yeah,
just with you.
yeah, yeah, it'll be all right.
Let me jump in.
Yeah,
I have to agree. I think unless you are literally in a crosswalk and you have the arrow to cross, the responsibility is on you to not get hit by the
yeah.
car. I too was almost hit by Christopher Bell a couple months back, and I also sat in a meeting that they had with people that get credentials earlier this week or last week. And the one thing they said was after the race, you cannot come out over the pit wall until you get an all clear. And that is only for people with certain credentials. If you don't have that level of access, you can't come out at all.
Right.
Because it's literally a case of cars flying down the road. Like, I think it's easy for people to forget how fast a car at even 40 miles an hour can be and how devastating it can be if it hits you. Like, they don't have to be going 80 or 90 to do major damage. So I just want to understand, like, it's one thing if like the crew, I believe, ran out there while the cool down lap was still going on and they were already, I think, in the grass at that point, which, okay, cool, whatever. But like, again, it feels like you're a bit entitled to think that 3 rows of stock cars are just going to stop and let you pass. Like, these people don't care that you won the race. If you want to say Joey shouldn't have revved it in front of them, sure, but you put yourself in that position to be that close to a car, and you were the one walking on pit road with an infant, a newborn child, small child. Like, that is just 0 out of 10 awareness level. And if you want to give him a little pity 25K fine or something, then like, sure, go for it. But this idea that, oh, he did this, so I'm glad, he got screwed out of a win or whatever, that like, and a lot of these people are just Joey Logano haters. Like, I'm gonna be honest, like, Joey's had a rough career when it comes to, a lot of segments of the NASCAR fandom. And,
Hmm.
even in spite of that, like, here I am sticking up for this guy who I was not, and still I'm not a huge fan of, but like, the dude got robbed and you expect him to just take it and then eat shit with a smile on your face. And I'd love to see the NASCAR officials get as animated with the 3 car as they were with the 22 on pit road. There was nothing there. There was
100%.
all
Yeah.
high fives and pats on the back after that race. So I just find it interesting how you pick and choose when you want to have the selective outrage. And I think after this we're going to move forward to the last 2 laps and finish. But I mean, NASCAR, they just kind of showed their ass again this week. But like with the Joey thing, like I said, like, you are the only person responsible for your body. Like, no one made you walk out there, and to do it with a child with clearly not looking to your right. Like, these cars, spoiler, are pretty damn big and pretty damn loud, even when they're idling, rolling down at 30 when they're about to cut the car off. So responsibility is on you to know that's there, and they clearly didn't show it. But yeah, give him a little fine if you want to, but it's not going to be anything more than that. Like, if he would have had to tragically hit someone for it to be something bigger than that, and thankfully that didn't happen. Like, I don't want anyone to ever be involved in an incident, but like, you got to take some responsibility. Like, accountability has chased you, but you are faster, and I think
Yeah.
that's exactly what happened with this one.
Yeah, and I mean, I will say, to walk this back a little bit, because I was not. I have been. I mean, like I said, in an area, like I said, where it's a hot garage, hot pit road. Years ago, I got almost run over by Elliott Sadler at Texas, which is where the start of our beef probably began. So I do get that, and I mean, I've worked in industrial areas where, the saying is like, unless the person in the vehicle, the crane, the truck, whatever, acknowledges you, you do not have the right of way at any point in time. I don't know. Just seeing this at first glance and not knowing what I've been told now, I felt it was pretty egregious. But yeah, I mean, I will say, I guess, yeah, I mean, like I said, I guess, I mean, like I said, you should not be that far up, out in the pit box or whatever. And maybe there needs to be some conversation about, celebrating family members and team and sponsors and X, Y, and Z or whatever. Like I said, that they're not the rule exception to the rule. So I don't know. Yeah, fine, definitely. I just, when I saw this, I thought about how quickly the Kevin Ward Jr. thing happened and how that wasn't the intended outcome. And I was just like, how easy would it have been for Joey to have misjudged that a little bit, and then it would have been a whole other situation. But again, the outcome of the Kevin Ward situation was, well, you shouldn't have been in front of a race car. So, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Like I said, I definitely think there's going to be a fine behind that. But Art, to your point, I will be really disappointed if they go after Joey harder than they do the three. I think if they do, if we're going to talk in a minute, I think after we end this about how important the next couple of days are going to be for the credibility of NASCAR, because they are on the brink of either losing total control or reining everything back in, and there's no in between at this point. So anyway, let me go ahead and finish this up real quick. So group discussion time. Who do you think should be penalized here? What should the penalty be? We talked about the 22. What do you guys think about the 3? What should happen there?
I'm glad you asked. I'm going to be thoroughly upset, disappointed, and outraged if Austin Dillon is not on his sofa for the Michigan International Speedway race and potentially Daytona. I know it's not going to happen. I know he's probably not going to get suspended knowing NASCAR. I feel like once they're so hypocritical because you say that you can't do these things, you can't capitalize on these moments. Bad, no, slap your hand, and have the audacity to throw it in your face all week, get all the hits from it, advertising it and promoting it for the next race. Like, oh, you watched us lose our heads this week. See what happens next week at a faster track where you could die if you do this exact same move. So, Austin needs to be suspended. He's probably going to keep his win. They're probably going to take the points away from the win. Or they may pull a Denny Hamlin and Kyle Busch at Pocono and just be like, nah, the trophy goes to the next person. I'd be surprised if they did that. But to your point, Carl, it's a nasty precedent has been set this last month of racing. They've let a lot of things slide that shouldn't have, and haven't stepped in to correct it when they should have. And because of that, with the loose policing, you get an incident like what happened last night, where the fastest car was asleep at the light, 0 reaction time, to drive off into the sunset legally, and had to punt 2 cars to win. While also his spotter told him to do it. It was premeditated, the whole 9 yards. You heard it in the clip if you watched the clip of Carl's presentation. It's just there's so much damning evidence against them about it just being a spur of the moment decision. He has to be suspended. You have to stop the buck right here. Stop it now. I really want him suspended. I don't care if he gets fined. I don't care if he take points away. He's 32nd in points. Who cares? He needs to be out of the car. A lesson has to be learned. A precedent has to be set to garage, because like Denny said on his podcast earlier today, if they let this slide, what's stopping Bubba from wrecking somebody next week to win in Michigan?
Yeah, 100%.
What's stopping him from dooring Kyle Larson again? What's stopping Ty Gibbs from dooring somebody to get his win so he can, if he can make it? That NASCAR has put so much importance on the winning you end strategy that they're sort of like losing their heads because they're getting the hits and they're getting the ratings and they're getting the notoriety, and oh, NASCAR's popular again this week. Let's go, let's push. Like it's become a safety concern at this point. Denny immediately complained about how he felt like he dislocated his shoulder just because he wasn't expecting to get hit in the angle he got hit at. He hurt himself, and then he already got a bad shoulder. Like, come on now, he just had that surgically repaired. Like, what are we doing here? It's not bumper cars. You're supposed to be a professional stock car racer. Kids are watching this. Keelan Harvick, I hope you didn't take any lessons from that last night. I don't want you to turn into that man. Please don't. Braxton Bush, same as well. Drive like your dad. When he was awesome and also wrecked people, but not like that. If that makes sense.
However, Cash Boyer, if the racing genes got transferred to you, you might need to race like that. So
yeah, you might.
We're not excluding you on that.
You could.
Oh God.
But that's my take. He needs to be on his couch, and his car can be driven by Connor Zilic.
Go be a family man.
Yeah. Do you think your spiel is longer than mine, or who should go next?
Oh yeah, mine is longer than yours.
Okay,
Can I go and assure you?
Yeah, I'll go then. I guess. Or Bonte, did you want to go next? I'm sorry, we stepped right over you, brother.
I go next before y'all.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, you can go now?
Yes,
please.
Oh, my fault. I'm gonna be honest with you. God, they need to suspend his goofy ass. That was one of the most dumbest shit you can ever do in all NASCAR. Like, dude, like you was gonna lose that whole race. Why the fuck are you dumping Joey Logano and Denny Hamlin? Like, literally, dude. Then you listen to your dumbass spotter. Wreck him. I'm like, bro, RC, y'all are the most dumbest fucking team I've ever seen in my life. And I'm sick of it. And I hate that Michael Kyle Busch is on this team. Because this is so annoying. I expect a fine and suspension. He can keep the win. I don't care. But take his ass off the playoffs. He don't even deserve to be in the playoff because of this win. He keep the win, but do like similar like they did with Joey from 2017 when he won Richmond but got DQ'd but kept the win, but not make it to the playoffs. If you do that, I'll be okay with that. But until that, fine suspending his ass. And take his way to the playoffs because that was a fucking joke at the NASCAR. That really was. I'm done ranting. I'm ranting some more later. Go ahead.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think that NASCAR is like I said again on the brink of just total just anarchy because I mean we already kind of saw it with Michael McDowell at Talladega, right? And he kind of said, look, man, I got to do what I got to do right now, right? And that was a dangerous situation, but we kind of wrote it off, and it's resurfaced now. But I want to take a step back, right? Because last night, Bubba Wallace, which I always hate how they manage to put a camera in his face whenever something controversial happens, and they really highlight what he says when that man, put together a great race, had a good night, and didn't really get much camera time because of it. And we can have a 23-11 corner later, but regardless, and he was like, yeah, I was going to shake Austin's hand, because they do what they need to do, but that was chicken shit. And of course, it blows up everywhere. Folks mentions with the Las Vegas thing. Oh, if it was your favorite driver, you wouldn't have minded. Okay, let's talk about that for a second. So let's go back in time to Las Vegas 2022. All right. And I'll go on the record as saying, look, I can respect Kyle Larson's talent the same way I respected Jimmy Johnson's talent. I had disdain for Johnson in his heyday. I have a much more severe disdain for Larson for a number of reasons, especially his shenanigans on Twitter post-Indy, but that's neither here nor there. His fan base, I don't think he deserves the title of greatest driver of all time for a lot of reasons. That's neither here nor there anyway. But, naturally a part of being a fan of any sport is you like seeing the guy that you don't like have a bad day. Okay. And NASCAR, whether people want to admit to it or not, has a little bit of bloodlust to it, right? I mean, sometimes you want to see a guy you don't like, get wrecked. I mean, it is what it is. People won't admit to it. I will. When I saw the deal at Vegas, my first thought was, damn, that's what Larson gets for driving over his short ass head. Then I thought about it and I was like, I understand Bubba's anger in that moment, but I'm severely disappointed. I'm very embarrassed. And as much as I'm sort of glad Kyle has gotten his just desserts in a way, although I felt it to be extreme at Las Vegas, you have the 45, you have your Kurt Busch is retired now because of a similar hit that Larson took. I'm just like, man, it didn't have to happen this way. I hate this. I'm very embarrassed behind it. NASCAR announced the decision to, suspend him after we've already had guys right rearing people earlier in the year. They made an example out of Bubba. And I said, okay, I respect that. If Bubba Wallace had done this last night, my initial reaction would have been, man, I'm glad we get a race win diecast now. Beyond that, I would have been like, man, I wish he could have done this literally any other way. And beyond that, I would say I'm very disappointed. I don't feel like that's in his wheelhouse anyway. And I don't know I don't know if that's in Austin Dillon's wheelhouse or not. And then I would have also said that, I think a big component of if Bubba also would have done that is the pressure on them from the playoffs and the box that NASCAR has put them in. And that I'm sure that played into what happened last night with Austin. Either way, I would have accepted a penalty, whatever they called for, and been in agreement. So I want to put that out there right now that I think any level-headed fan, if their favorite driver would have done what Austin Dillon did last night, if Christopher Bell did it, Bonte would have been like, hey, man, it is what it is. It sucks, but he needs to be suspended because that's the rule they put in place. They put in place. So NASCAR put this rule in place, and if you are now telling me that because it was situational, it was the last lap, it wasn't done 100% of malice, or whatever the case may be, that he is not getting the same treatment for the rule that Chase Elliott broke, for the rule that Bubba Wallace broke. If he is not getting that same treatment, all hell is breaking loose. And I promise you, I'll put money on it right now. If Austin Dillon races at Michigan, whoever is leading with 5 to go at Phoenix in the championship will not win the title because they will get stuffed firewall deep into the outside wall come the end of the race, and there's nothing anybody can do about it. So, Elton Sawyer, I know you're not going to listen to this, but I'm telling you right now, bro, you are about to have an absolute ludicrous situation on your hands, a farce, if you will, if you decide that he doesn't need to sit on the bench next weekend, because that sends the message, hey, you just gotta do it at smaller tracks on the last lap and won't nobody say nothing to you. So yeah, I mean, I think Austin should be at the house next weekend. I think maybe he can fly out to Pop Pop's Vineyards and go pick wine with his kid and his wife or something like that. I mean, all that kind of stuff, and not pick wine, but pick grapes. And do something, bro, because no, absolutely not. So he deserves to be at home next week. And now all I can say is, NASCAR, I hope you're happy you got what you wanted, right? You wanted these Game 7 moments, and when everybody told you, I said in 2013 when they announced this in the offseason, I remember I said to people I said, what's to stop somebody from wrecking somebody to win and get in? You know what I mean? And we've seen small variations of that. We saw it with Ron Newman and Kyle Larson in 2014. We saw it in 2020 with Kevin Harvick. We saw it with the Hail Melon, right? But not to this extreme. And I'm like, it's setting a very bad example for it's rewarding bad behavior. And now it's gotten totally out of hand. And so it's like, now you have to make the boss call. And it's going to be an unpopular call either way, but there is a right and a wrong call to make. They keep that in mind. But that's all I got to say about it.
So I want to just start by saying I appreciate everything that's been said here, and I appreciate a lot of the discourse and commentary online. No, look, what's funny? I'm not even going to give you what you think you're going to get. I'm going to start with the beginning with the question Carl asked about what should be the results for Austin's punishment. It should be pretty simple. You can keep the win, you can keep the trophy, but you don't get the points. You get suspended. You don't get a waiver. You're now 26th in points. You have to either win again or point your way into the playoffs. And you get a big fine. Anything short of keeping him in the playoffs for this, I mean, this sport is cooked. Like, this sport is actually cooked. The reputation of the sport is absolutely on the line with this because it's so egregious. I cannot recall any race where you dumped not one but two people come into the line. One, sure, like Joey's done it. People have been moved throughout history, like whatever. And yeah, I agree. Like, I could accept. I don't like it, but I could accept the Joey move because it's been done before. There's a precedent there. I think it's a talentless move. It doesn't take any talent to use someone else as your brakes. But I can accept it. But the right hooking, which we have audio proof of the man saying hit him, and he turns left. We have the SMT that shows him turning to the left and then he hits him. This is such an open and shut case. Like, you could not have clearer evidence. Like, this is caught in 32K. Like, forget 4, forget 8. Like, this is the most caught you could have someone. Anything short of him admitting, yeah, I right hooked him on purpose. Like, anything short of that, like, you have it all. This is so obvious. So I just think you have to get this right. I admit I'm speaking for an audience of one of myself, but I mean, if they just go business as usual, or if they just give him a 50K fine, 75K fine, whatever, like, I really might be done, because I don't want WWE auto racing.
100%.
Like, I really, and I've talked about this on the show before, but like my faith in this sanctioning body and the credibility of this sport, it continues to wither on the vine. And
Yep.
this is just, you gotta get this right. Anything less, you can say, okay, you keep the win. The history books will show that Austin Dillon won this race. Whatever, fine, sure. Or even vacated, because a lot of the chatter was like, well, who do you give it to? Like, second place, third place, fourth place, like, whatever. I don't even care about that. But you cannot tell me that a guy who's run 32nd all week, all season, can just do that because they find a lick of speed one week and now they're going to get to compete for a championship. Like, I'm not here for it. I've been an adamant hater of the playoff system for a long time. And you know what? For NASCAR, this is really the chickens coming home to roost. This is the winning in and boys have at it, had a baby, and it was on Richmond coming out of turn 4, because this is the consequences for you continuing to encourage this type of racing and never fact checking, never putting any kind of a stop to it. It's always just been fine. Keep doing it, whatever. The only person who got any kind of trouble was Kenseth. And he wasn't competing for a championship at that point. So, like, what was the point? Like, you have to virtually end someone's season for this to stop. Like, you're going to sit here and tell me that, Ross Chastain's move is illegal, but that's legal? Like, I can't. I refuse. I will not do it. You will have me to Phoenix and then I will peace out and fade away. Like, I'm serious. I'm so serious. Like, that was terrible. Like, that's terrible. And like, on the one hand, do I not like Austin Dillon? Yes, absolutely. I think he's a scrub. I think he has been coasting on his genetics for about 10, 15 years. He cannot win a race without some kind of shenanigans, whether it's hooking someone, as he's done several times now. This isn't the first, and I don't think it's the second time he's done this. Yep. But whatever, the fact remains is that if he did not race in a series where winning was the only thing that mattered every week, that probably doesn't happen. I really don't think it happens. Like, you're continuing to put these guys in this pressure cooker and continuing year after year, week after week, to turn up the temperature to where now it's literally the only thing that matters. And I said this on the show a couple weeks ago that I hate it, because now if my driver runs 10th, it's a shit day. If he runs 3rd, it's a shit day. Yeah. Like, nothing else matters. And I am so less invested in the field if they're not in 1st, 2nd, or 3rd, because it doesn't matter. Like, finishing 20th and finishing 8th, there should be some difference there. And on paper, yes, there is some difference. The points payout is different. But the reality is that it really doesn't matter. And like, I'm sorry, but racing, that should matter. This was the equivalent of, a team went 0-16, and on week 17, they break the leg of the defensive lineman and throw a Hail Mary and they catch it. And like, okay, now they're in the playoffs. They get to complete for a Super Bowl. Like, if you sit down and explain this scenario to someone who doesn't know NASCAR, I guarantee you they would scrunch up their face and just be like, what? That's stupid. But why? Like, he only won one race, and like, he was shit all season long. And you'd be like, well, it's good for the ratings, right? Like we're getting new fans, right? Like I said the other couple of weeks ago, I was like, when your spouse stops fighting, like that's the point you should be worried. Like I'm at the point I'm not fighting. Like I'm not gonna get on here and cuss up and raise up a storm about it. I'm just saying, like, if you don't do anything about this, and anything being you're suspended, no waiver, win again. Like if you give him a fine, it doesn't matter. We all know it doesn't matter, right? Like if you suspend him and you let him stay in the playoff, it doesn't matter. Like they'll get someone to fill in the seat and they'll still get paid a shit ton more money for finishing 16th in the playoffs than 26 where he would have. So like, what is this? What is this a punishment, right? Like it doesn't matter. So I look forward to seeing what happens. But like the again, the credibility is on the line because this is not the first or second or third damning decision that race control has made or not made. And maybe I'm gonna bounce around, but maybe it's time to actually just do away with the whole green white checkered. Like I love green white checkers, but like if this and on the call, the BJ made a great point. Like maybe we should just get rid of this. Like if this is what you're gonna do, like I almost would rather just not have it anymore. Like this Nashville, like, and every race nowadays finishes like this. Like they all finish like 100%. This. And I just don't want this every single week. So I mean, hey, look, I said on my Twitter, I was like, I'm becoming an F1 fan. I'll go on chicanery, once a month with the girls. And you know what? They may not beat and bang like I love in NASCAR, but at least there's somewhat credibility. Like Formula One has its own issues from 2021, but in their defense, that is the one huge issue they've had with their credibility. And yes, it was absolutely massive, and I hate the outcome of it. But they didn't have an Abu Dhabi every other week. It's literally every other week at this point.
We quite literally left with an Abu Dhabi 21, and we came back to one.
So right back.
Yeah.
So I just want to see what happens. And I think I'm just not a fan of many. Oh, I shouldn't say that. I'm not a fan of a lot of the things coming out of the RCR camp during and after this race. If I can just keep going. I listened to part of Denny's podcast. I haven't heard the whole thing, but he said maybe we should just get rid of spotters, but we can't because it's super speedways. How about you just keep them for super speedway races and get rid of them everywhere else? Because the spotter yelling wreck him, fuck yeah, like that doesn't sit well with me. And it's not even because I know some people might hear this and be like, oh, you're just a Denny, rider, like you love Toyota, right? But like like I've said this before, like I don't care who the driver is. Like I would be upset if Bubba Wallace did this. I literally would be. And some people might think that's bullshit and like whatever, fuck you. But like I legit would be upset if any driver in the field did this because I don't think that's real racing. And so for these spotters to be out there and encouraging it and celebrating it and pushing the drivers further, like maybe we need to get rid of them too. Have them on the plate tracks, absolutely, but give them a bigger mirror, give them, the digital mirror, make it bigger or something. And like, let's get these guys out of here because it's starting to feel like it's more trouble than it's worth. And like other series don't have spotters. Like it's clearly doable and just keep them for the plate tracks. I'm just so disheartened by the outcome of this race. Like I wasn't even yelling at the end of it. I was just like, okay, cool. Like, are y'all going to do anything about that? Oh, the 3 is called the winner. Okay, cool. Great. Like it's literally going to take, I was driving into work today. I was thinking about, I was like, maybe and this is going to sound so ass backwards considering the car number that was involved, but maybe these cars are too safe now. And the people are just willing to take these risks that they don't care about the safety of their competitors. Because yes, did people get dumped and get hooked back in the 80s and 90s? Yeah, it happened, but it sure as hell didn't happen as much as it did nowadays. Like nowadays, there's no regard for the guy because I think partly to believe, well, the car is really safe. Like he'll be all right. He'll get out of it. It's fine. Like I don't care. Like I got to win. I got to get a win. Right. There's no level of, the respect that you used to have back in the day. And like, I'm not here for it. Like if I want to watch a demolition derby, I'd watch a demolition derby. If I want to watch cars get jumped up, I'd go watch Monster Jam. Like there are places you can go to find those things, but I don't want to see them in what is supposed to be the premier auto racing league in the United States. Like, I'm sorry. That's not what I'm signing up for. It's not what I'm paying money for. It's not what I'm driving to tracks to see. So I'm just, like I said, very disheartened by it. And, I will happily retract any of this next week if NASCAR does the right thing. And there is a right and a wrong thing they should be doing here. And if anyone says different, like, they're just either a Denny hater, a Joey hater, and there's plenty of those, or they're, one of the 8 Austin Dillon fans out there. And, he's probably related to 6 of them. But
Jesus Christ.
I'm just tired of it. I'm tired of it. And, and the last thing I'm going to say is, the head honcho, Mr. Rolex, Mr. Nice Watch, like, we had internet. So, like, I mean, you had no credibility considering the political company with who you keep in my house. But the fact that you came in and said, oh, don't believe everything you hear on the internet. And then the reporters sit down and show you, oh, wait, he did say that. Like, yeah, you got caught with your effing pants down again because, like, we have the technology. We can see that and hear that he said it. I mean, and let's be honest about it. Richard Childress would really be selling boats at Concord Mills if he didn't luck into a top 3 driver in NASCAR history. If you look at that organization, like, they had Dale Sr. and he left, and they had Kevin Harvick. What did they do with Kevin? As soon as Kevin leaves, he wins 35 races and a championship at a new team. And what have you done since then? So I just don't have a lot of respect for the people that celebrate that. And then, there's one thing to say, hey, it was tough racing. He did what he had to do. But to sit there and act like you guys did something. And the irony of it being the 1 week where if you just win it, like, no one can shit talk you. We can playfully be like, oh, that car had to be cheated up, whatever. But they ran a really good race.
Yeah.
And he drove up to the lead and took it. And he, before the last restart, raced Joey really cleanly, raced him probably too cleanly. If we want to be honest, he should have washed him up. I think they were saying that on the broadcast, like, wash him up and go by him. He didn't do it. He just drove by him.
Right. And
I was like, damn, look at Austin Dillon out here. He kind of cooking. And then, he runs out of talent at the end. So I just, like I said, that's all I got. Like, I don't have a big rant. I don't have a lot of F-bombs. I'm just like, okay, let's see what you do. But yeah, like I said, the reputation is it's Swiss cheese at this point. It's a plastic bag and it's full of holes, and you want me to carry water in it. And it's like, hey, I'm just not gonna do it. Like, and I choose to believe there are other fans out there that slowly but surely are feeling the same way. So I look forward to seeing what happens. But sucked. Could have been a great race, end on a good note, and it did not.
Yeah. I mean, I do want to say that, it is always kind of ironic and a little bit that, Richard Childress was like one of the guys that was like, if you want to kneel for the anthem, you can get on a damn bus. And then he's also the guy that, no politics and sports for thee, but not for me or whatever, or, vice versa. And, but yeah, I mean, my thing about it is this. I kind of, from a penalty standpoint, I will say I kind of feel like that in a way, him winning and knowing that they would be in the playoffs is kind of exploitation in a way. I don't know how to describe it exactly, but yeah, it just feels like I don't know. It feels like if the season wasn't on the line, as they say, which I mean, he's going to be a first round exit anyway, unless he gets incredibly lucky. That he may have not, wanted to illegitimize that win like that, because in my eyes, like up until that point, I'm like, man, this is night and day from like typical Austin Dillon, what we've normally seen from him. Like, this win legitimizes him, in my opinion, right? Because you look at, Daytona in 22, he knew that he couldn't you can't push cars from right rear. He did it anyway. You go and you look at Texas in 2020 and somehow what was it, 21? I don't remember. That they somehow had a command center set up like F1 does, and they got the tire call right. You look at the 2018 Coke 600, he hooks Eric Almirola. You look at 2017 Coke 600, or I'm gonna say 2500. the 17 Cokes turned to fuel in, you know. And I was like, dang, this might legitimize him as, you know, like, okay, maybe they don't need to bring in Austin Dillon after all. And then it just got ruined like the very next second. So, I'm going to cut this real quick, but I need us all to hold on for just 2 minutes. You guys just twiddle your thumbs. I'll be right back. I'm going to cut all this out, though.
So that says to me that he's editing. Works for me.
I heard it too.
My apologies. I had somebody calling me back to back multiple times, and I thought it might have been an emergency. So,
what do you call this?
No, nothing like that. Don't give coworkers your phone numbers, kids. Anyway, we've had a great discussion about all this, and I've got one more slide with my thoughts. I shared my thoughts early, but we'll go ahead and we'll knock this one out, and then we'll finish this pod out. That's who I think needs to be suspended.